think I have to stop. And he said, yeah, I agree, because otherwise you're going to kill yourself or kill someone else. So I said, okay, but if I stop, I want to be retrained in something as sexy and rock and roll as flying jets.
Look, for people the few people that haven't listened to the first time you came on I Catch Killers, we probably should just give an abbreviated version of how you ended up in the James Bond spy school. I say it's James Bond, it's not really, it's the DGS.
It's far from James Bond.
But you, with your fighter, when you were a fighter pilot, you were involved in a plane crash where you injured your back.
Yep.
And from that, the options of flying fighter planes was taken away because I think you were saying it the other day that because you weren't in a position where you could eject because of the G-forces, you're basically flying without a safety net. You could still fly, but you couldn't have pressed the eject button.
Yeah, so I had this flying accident where I injured my back. I had surgery in the back, and then the military doctors basically they said, look, if you continue to fly and if you have to eject, so ejection seat is 25 instant Gs and 19 Gs at the end of the acceleration of the seat. So it's like you're sitting on a box of dynamite. You have 2 tons of pressure per square centimeter, so it's really massive. So you don't do it for fun, you know. It's not like in movies. I just eject. So ejection is you have 1/3 of chances to die, basically. 1/3 of chances to be severely injured, and 1/3 of chances to be lightly injured or fine.
Yeah.
So you don't want to do it for fun. And having already a back issue and having had this surgery on the back, I knew that I wouldn't have the last third of chances.
You wouldn't have been able to hit that eject
So
button.
if I had to eject, I would have been at best, actually not the other way around, best dead and worse in a chair for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And so the military doctors said that to me, and I said, well, that's all I knew, flying jets, you know. I said, well, I want to continue to fly jets. So I signed the paper. So it's a discharge, which basically signifies that I take the responsibility.
If you
that
do fly the jets.
if something happens and I'm in a chair, I can't blame the Air Force, I can't blame the military doctors. And of course they were happy with that because the cost to train a fighter pilot is so high. Then when you reach those high qualifications as a fighter pilot, they're happy for you to continue to fly.
Yeah.
Of course. So I went back to my squadron and continued to fly. And then every morning and every day before the flight, after the flight, every night I had to take painkillers because the pain was too important. Putting 9 Gs on a damaged back was not good. And then I said to my boss, I said, I think I have to stop. And he said, yeah, I agree, because otherwise you're going to kill yourself or kill someone else. So I said, okay, but if I stop, I want to be retrained in something as sexy and rock and roll as flying jets. And so they came back to me after a few weeks saying, we can train you for military pilot, but for special operations and intelligence operations. So basically landing by night on roads, on fields, no guidance to the landing with night vision goggles, dropping some guys, picking up some guys, this kind of stuff. So I had to do all the training because if you crash this kind of plane with some guys of special forces, you mustn't be the weakest part of the chain. So you have to be able to keep up with them.
Yep.
And my back was not an issue for that. My back was really an issue only for the ejection seat. So I was retrained. I did all this, and then I was doing a lot of missions in the Balkans, doing the hunt of the Serbian war criminals.
Okay.
So landing illegally by night, dropping some guys, picking up some guys, and sometimes I had to land, hide the plane, and go with them to do some stuff. And at some point, actually, those guys I was carrying at the back were not special forces. They were dressed in jeans, like this. You know, I was like,
something's going on.
Who are those guys?
Yeah.
And I became mate with them. And I was, taking them more and more and more, actually almost exclusively. And then I had a survival training in the Alps, high altitude training, because I was meant to go and do the same for Bin Laden in Afghanistan.
Yep.
And I was on the top of the mountain. I was digging my igloo because the game is they drop you with a helicopter, like if you just crashed, and you have to survive by yourself for 5 days. But you are also used as a bait for commando training. So a team of commando with dogs is trying to hunt you down and find you.
Nothing's dull in your life, is it?
No. And so of course the game is not to be captured before the end of the 5 days. So by definition you're pretty well hidden. So I had to dig my igloo, and actually snow is very heavy on a spade. And digging my igloo, I did this stupid movement, twisting myself, and one of the discs popped out again of the spine. So I ended up with a massive pain in the middle of nowhere. And I had to, because I was well hidden, I had no other choice than to walk down the mountain by myself with a intense pain.
Yeah.
With the sciatic, and the left leg was not good. And until I see lights and everything, and then I dropped the flare so that they could see where I was. So I had a second surgery in the back, and then the military doctor said, "That's it, 2 surgery in the back.
No more flying.
You lose your flying medical ability to fly in the Air Force. You keep the commercial one, which is less restrictive, so you can go and fly as a commercial pilot. But in the military, you're done." And no offense to commercial pilots, but when you've been flying single-seaters for dogfight, taking 9Gs and flying special forces or intelligence missions, you don't want to fly a bus.
Hard to get yourself up for that one.
Yeah, so I mean, some guys do.
Yeah.
It was not for me, and so I was lost. I really didn't know what to do, and I had a lunch with one of those guys of the DGSE, so the French CIA. In Paris, and I said to him, I can't fly anymore. I don't know what I'm going to do. And that's where he said, why don't you try to join us? And I said, yeah, it looks fun. So I said yes. I did the test, which is 1 year test.
Yeah.
Not to lose this 1 year, I went back to some studies, doing an MBA in business intelligence, thinking that if I couldn't succeed, didn't pass the test,
fallback.
I had something else. And then I was selected, and when you are selected like this and you join as an officer, you go normally in the intelligence division, where you are an analyst first for a few years. And then after a few years as an analyst, you can start dealing with human sources. And then you can be sent in an embassy in another country on the diplomatic status to represent the company for cooperation with the local services, etc. But you have another division, which is the operational division, in charge of all the clandestine operations. And I can come back on that if you want after, which is all the dark intelligence.
Yeah.